What's happening? It's yours truly, Javon Freeman, back with another one. I think this is going to be a great watch. Uh, this is my guy, RFK Jr., getting ready to talk on a couple of things. The title had me very intrigued. I'll let you see the title. Senator Bill, no, this is the wrong one, actually. Oh my gosh. So embarrassing. Sorry. Hold on. Now I gotta get this right. Bear with me, because I am not restarting. It will not happen. Yeah, so RFK Jr. had his hearing. Um,
I have a you.
okay, cool. He had his hearing, and this topic came up, and I think it is a great topic to talk on, to speak on. Like, we've heard Trump say it, we're coming into a golden age. That can be applied on multiple levels. Certain things aren't going to reach a golden age just yet. We are still early into the transition of the age of Aquarius, where information is becoming more and more abundant and it's becoming more forthright to the front of the congregation, for lack of better terminology. But as you can see in the title, RFK Jr. defends different vaccine schedules for blacks and whites in testy exchange with Senator Brooks. I think this is going to be a good conversation. Yeah. And I'm gonna give some more information into it afterwards as well. So we'll see.
You said you were on a show on February 26, 2021, an interview with Dr. Judy Mikovits, where you said the following, and I quote, "We should not be giving black people the same vaccine schedule that's given to whites because their immune system is better than ours." Can you please explain what you meant?
There's a series of studies, I think most of them by Poland, that show that to particular antigens that blacks have a much stronger reaction. There's differences in reaction to different products by different races.
So I have 17 seconds left. Let me just ask you then. So what different vaccine schedule would you say I should have received?
That
What different vaccine schedule should I have received?
I mean, the Poland article suggests that blacks need fewer antigens than
This is
so
so
you get the
dangerous.
same measles vaccine.
Mr. Kennedy, with all due respect, that is so dangerous. Your voice would be a voice that parents would listen to. That is so dangerous. I will be voting against your nomination because
science.
your views are dangerous to our state and to our country.
I mean, do you think?
You know what? She had me for a second. Hold on. She almost had me for a second. When she started saying that is so dangerous, I was like, you agree with this man? You gonna do it publicly? But what it seems like is she's just, very emotional, hive-minded, does what she's told, if she gets her reward. Not to say that she's brainless, but what I'm saying is that she clearly has an emotional stake. And couldn't really rationalize what was being said anyway. And I think that's very, very important, that this conversation is had, because there are differences within our own species. It's like, it's no way we can live on Earth and we sit here and see a whole bunch of trees, but then sit here and say, oh yeah, maple tree is the same as an oak tree. Two different types of trees, but yes, they are trees. We are humans, but there are different types of humans. How a pine tree develops is not the same way how a fern develops, or again, keep it simple, an oak tree. I was trying to get complex, but let's just keep it simple for conversation's sake, right? They do not develop the same way, even down to its cellular structure. It might be similar, there might be a lot of similarities, a lot of parallels. However, there will be key differences, even down to the structure and its morphology. Um, I agree with RFK on this. Back in 2021, I came across the information, but studies have been shown on this for what is now a decade plus. Um, there was, from when I came across it, it was a study being done on women and the microbiology and the microbiomes of a woman's vaginal cavity. And what was found was that there were different degrees of concentration amongst separate or amongst different groups or ethnicities of women. And what does this mean? What they found in black women was that there was a higher concentration of prokaryotic cells. What they found in white women was that there was a higher concentration of eukaryotic cells. And I'm gonna bring up an article to help clarify this. Prokaryotic cells are basically simple cells, for lack of better terminology, simple cells, or uh, in the world of biology, can also be considered as efficient cells. Like, let's take your virus, for example. As much as the human body doesn't like viruses, viruses are very efficient. A eukaryotic cell, you can compare that to a bacterium, right? There's a lot of parts within the cell that makes that cell. Um, One moment. All right, and I'm back. So, what you see to make a eukaryotic cell are also known as complex cells. And those complex cells were found in higher concentrations once you started. And what they were really studying is, and whether they, it's said out loud or not, is the microbiome across melanated species. The differences between the degrees of melanated within our species. Um, and this is, it becomes an uncomfortable conversation for a lot of people, but even when you're in school, the conversation is being had cleared in your face. The same way you have Mendel's genes, um, was it Punnett squares where you're sitting there? Was it Mendel's genes? Um, Phylums of genetics, and they're saying they're telling you there's dominant recessive genes. It's just another roundabout, indirect way of telling you that certain things have to come in a certain order, and it has to be simple before it gets to be complex. Uh, just like just like anything in life, before you get a human body, you start as a stem cell. Your stem cell then becomes specialized, and then once it's specialized, you replicate, and then you get a tissue, and that tissue group replicates and continues to replicate, and you get an entire organ. But that organ alone doesn't make it a human. You need more stem cells, which becomes other specialized cells, which then turn into other groups of tissues, which will then become other organs. And then once you have enough organs that come together and do their job functions, you get the system of the human body. And that's where you get an entire organism, which you would see as a reflection of a human organism in the third dimension would be your car. There's an electrical system, there's, excuse me, a mechanic system, there's a body system, there's a bone structure system, right? The electrical system, the wiring in the cars, the radio, that's what gives it the life. Your nervous system in your body is what gives you life. uh your automotive system, that's like the wheels turning, the gears and whatnot. So that could be your blood pumping, your veins, your arteries, which would be your skin, right? Even muscles. So then that would be the outside frame of the car, the you can say the seats within the car, the cushions on the car, the detailing on the dashboard, which is the body system, the headlights, right? Um, and so on and so forth. So I'm going to show you a article. Yep. All right. Now it says the vaginal microbiome may not differ between black and white women post-menopausal, um, and that's very, very important. The bacteria in which they're talking about in this is lactobacillus. Um, lactobacillus, it behaves almost like a waste bacteria, right? It eats and it excretes, almost like how a white blood cell comes to get rid of foreign bodies that you don't need. Your lactobacillus sits there and does the job of a cleaner, things of that nature. It's like, nope, this isn't allowed here. We're going to get rid of it. So why is this important? Why am I bringing it up? Because premenopausal, black women have less. That is important within its vaginal microbiome. Because if there's less of these guys, then that means there's a higher degree of pregnancy. So this is where you get the adult stereotype or cliche of black women are so fertile and whatnot, but it's also Latin women. But it usually, if you look at history, it's usually in reference to women that are very melanated. Um, it's not to say that white women don't have a decreased amount prior to menopause. It's still what white women see in their microbiome is that it's a much higher degree. Um, and now this is very important too, because even in mating, it's not to say that black people and white people can't intermate. No, that's not the case. We certainly know that we can. Um, However, this is where the conversation gets complex because the status quo of this country is that we are not supposed to have complex conversations. But complex conversations is how you get forward throughout time and how you end up getting into a golden age of information, behaviors, acceptance, and things of that nature. Um, so, you know, where you get the whole, so let's just say black man, black woman, mate, you get a lot of kids. Black man, white woman, mate, you can get a lot of kids. Maybe not as many as a black man, black woman. However, you're going to get a lot of kids. White man, black woman, you can get a decent amount of kids. White man, white woman, you throughout history, you could get a decent amount of kids. But it's not going to be as many as black man, black woman. This is historical. When you look at the number of children had by white pure white man, white woman couples, black man, black woman couples, on average, you don't have as many. I think it's like a 2 to 3 child difference. That's a lot. One mouth to feed makes a big difference. Um, so with that said, to link it back to the video, it would make a lot of sense that you would get a different vaccine schedule or a different concentration of certain vaccines because your microbiology would function differently. The cellular structure and the organization and the simple complexities would behave differently than a complex system. Um, because it would take less things for it to be affected. And if there are certain things in play that are, hey, this is what it is. Imagine, right? Let's just say you have a one all in one purpose cleaner, right? Let's take bleach. You have an all in one purpose cleaner, but then you have a cleaner that is mixed with 5 different chemicals. You don't need Both need to have water added to it to do the job effectively. However, the concentration of water needed may differ between each candidate. You see what I'm saying? So now, in terms of the video, RFK Jr. was referencing pollen and allergies, and that is very, very true. Now, what also plays into this is the diet. Um, Usually, with simple cell organisms, the diet ends up being very simple. With complex organisms, and I'm speaking on a cellular degree. On a cellular degree, with very simple organisms, take a virus, the diet, its behaviors is very simple. So with a virus, it doesn't have like a nucleus. All it does is get to the host, opens up its cell body, lets its DNA fly out, job done. Very simple. Bacteria, not the case. Bacteria gets in, it makes copies of its DNA, um, and then it replicates, make more copies, replicates, and then puts DNA somewhere else and hope it implants into the genome of whatever it implanted in, within its mating process and things of that nature. It's much more complex than just a virus. That's why bacteria and viruses are approached in two completely different fashions. You have antibacterials like your penicillins, then you have antiviral medicines, right? Um, so this would make a lot of sense. Your diet, say you're a simple, so say hypothetically, right? And this is where you start getting into your Dr. Sebi conversations, your Hippocrates conversations. Hippocrates, for those that don't know, I believe, if I'm saying his name right, is the guy that um, you can say is considered the father of our modern day medicine. Hippocrates, mind you, like majority, if not all, Greek philosophers of ancient Europe learned from the Africans. That's why there was a whole book burning of Alexandria. We can get it. We can get very long into it and whatnot. Um, However, to keep things simple, quick, sweet. Hold on, let me get y'all up here with me. To keep it short and sweet, this is information that was already known. Please don't forget, we may call it Pythagoras' theorem. However, algebra was created long before Europeans made their way down to Africa. They had to be brought out the dark ages. And again, it's not a shot at white people. This is history. This is stuff that whether they told the story or not is going to be told, because even the Africans knew this. There were people already here. Trade was already taking place between Africa and Americas long before Europeans were building boats. There's proof of that with obsidian scalpels that come from South America and the benefits of obsidian scalpels. So now you got to sit there and say, hold on, these people were having surgeries long before an entire group of people were even traveling the seas. So, um, with the diet, Dr. Sebi ended up finding that within his research, and RP to Dr. Sebi, it's a shame Nip was murdered because he was going to do that movie too. Um, when you eat certain foods, if you're a melanated person, your body it has an effect to where you don't need certain vaccines, you don't need certain medications. The body does a decent job of fighting these things on its own. And it doesn't just apply to black people or of people of melanated expression. What he found was that you can also apply the same principles to those that are new melanated. Why? Because it's a simple diet. This simple diet is just fruits, veggies, seeds, things of that nature, and your nuts. Uh, Simple diet, simple results, effective results. However, what we've also found is that, and this is throughout history too, complex organisms are also in need of other complex organisms. So, what does this mean, right? Let's say in the modern day, there is this big rave about this carnivore diet. There's no coincidences in the things we see in the third dimension and or experiencing. This carnivore diet is consisting of like your meats, your eggs, fruits, honey, things of that nature, simple and complex. Your fruits, your honey, that would be considered simple. And for those that don't know, your honey is basically bee vomit. You know, um, not to gross you out, but it's good stuff. And it shows how important insects can be. Uh, your eggs, your steak is considered complex. Why? Well, to get steak, you needed an entire organism that had its own organs, which were made of tissues, which has specialized cells, which originated from a simple cell, which was the stem cell. So you see how at the start of it, I put, I'm just doing this off the top of the mind. I told you I have so much stuff stored in this noggin. It blows my mind sometimes. Um, I built it up for you at the beginning, and now I'm showing you how it breaks back down. The complex organism inevitably came from or evolved from a simple organism. Not necessarily saying they came from the same lineage or tree. However, that would be the case. The only way to get the complexity is from simplicity. It's the only route there is. And the only way to get the simplicity is from complexity, unless unless if you start at simplicity, whatever the environment around you was had to be complex of some sorts. And that would be another theory for another day. Dang, I'm already into this for a good amount of time. But, I think this is a great conversation because now if you actually want to start healing people, this would actually, you know, make valid change. But then you would need people that actually understand the body in which they are trying to heal. And it's not to say white people don't understand black people and black people don't understand white people. However, there is a thing called affinity, right? We see it in cars, we see it in businesses, we even see it in animals as well. Certain things have an affinity for certain things, right? So when you get this saying, it takes one to know one race car driver has an affinity for another race car driver. That conversation is a lot more enriching because they know certain things that most people won't know, right? Uh, People from Australia have an affinity for Australians because they come from the same environment, vice versa for America, Africa, Europe, Russia, whatever the case may be. Um, so yeah, I think that is a great conversation. That is something where consultant Freeman would tell you, keep your eyes and ears on this through the coming decades. And this is something you teach your children about. And this is stuff that has always been taught to our children. The issue is people get uncomfortable with complex conversations because I'm not going to say this is the only reason, but in part it throws a chink in the armor at someone else's power of unknowing. If it benefits most people to know, then that means it benefits some people that most people don't know. If that makes sense. If it benefits you to have light shed on a situation, then that means it's certainly benefiting someone to where light isn't or shouldn't be shed on a situation for their benefit. Uh, yeah, but yeah, I think that was a good video. Definitely, definitely barking up a couple trees, and it's a shame. It's a shame. See a nice black woman. She was pretty, but apostematism, man. I'm gonna just say that for so I'm not being disrespectful. I don't want to be disrespectful. I don't have any intention to. So, but yeah, and I also get it. This is big business, big pharma. You got investors. People get paid for people to take these vaccines, whether it works for them or not. People only care about their bottom line. Propaganda. Uh, anyway, I'm dragging this on. This was fun. Ciao.